people to use them to their advantage. But you know, we saw some players using them and then instantly being shot down. So there's a risk to it as well.
Well, there is a risk to it, but it's time to get into our gameplay for today. Round number 1 is underway. Stress, Mine Creek, take it away, gents.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Duos, 14 games at the ESL Katowice Royale. So settle yourself next to the pool at Paradise Palms. Stock up on Slurp Juice because we are in for the long haul. And these were our solos winners from yesterday, or our solo winner yesterday. As Vinny, we saw him dropping over in Snobby. The distribution of teams to start this off. How many teams do you think viably are going to be landing in the same spot? Because it's a whole lot more difficult than solos, right? To get that loot disparity.
Yeah, that's right. Like we mentioned earlier, I think we'll see a lot of things changing after maybe 1 or 2 games. In the beginning, you might see some contesting going on, but you know, these players want to get to late game as soon as possible. I want to say that at the first couple of games. So maybe we'll see a bit more passive play here. And when they figure out where, like, how many people, how many opponents are in their vicinity, they will start making different plans.
It's interesting. We did see Vinny drop in on Snobby, right? And now we see as well Animal and Aspect here as well. If I'm not mistaken, they might end up against each other. But we've got a very South Storm, or at least safe zone, to start things off. But Duos is a little slower. In the early game, in the mid game as well, just there's fewer fights because you can't get that one pump and oh, you've won the fight instantly. The elimination's gone off. You can't just move on. You have to take both teammates down, or at least get one and then rotate out. We're seeing Aiden and Nick Merckx here, Keolis, Mixalibur, Fax Fox, and Aim Hero all in Tilted Towers.
It looks like they will be pretty aggressive here to begin with. They haven't really spotted their opponents, but they are moving as a unit right now. Whereas Mixalibur seems to be kind of split from his opponent, from his teammate.
And this is one of the areas where we're expecting more action in the early game, just the way that Tilted tends to play out. As Aim Hero and Fax Fox very vocal on Twitter to say, oh no, we're coming Tilted, and anybody else who lands here, be prepared to fight.
You know, that could be a scare tactic as well. You want to scare those players away. But, you know, Aiden and Nick Merckx won't really give that up so easy.
Yeah, they're well known for it. Everybody knows they're dropping that. Yeah. I think that'll be the surprise. Is it 14 solid games of Tilted Towers for Aiden and Nick Merckx, or do they say, okay, maybe we've lost this fight, or we didn't win every single one, so maybe we move? It's game 1 of the weekend. 14 games total over 2 days. And we are in for the long haul. No player has been eliminated so far. Yeah. So we're in. In fact, 2 players aren't in this, so we're with Blacks as Hunter does get downed, and Hunter actually drops the case. You can see that in the action feed. So 96 players remain on this one.
So that's the first team going down to start this day off. And looking here at Black, so he does have a minigun and a attack shotgun, so that's in his advantage. But it looks like they will start pushing here like pretty fast.
Down goes the Vic, tries to get the angle on the fight. Envy is going to get down to start this off. Blacks is going to try and spin up that minigun. Envy is out of here already as the Vic takes a lot of damage. And now it's Sinnoh, 1 versus 2. The health is low on the Vic, but Sinnoh's going to take this one slower, just get himself behind a wall.
And we see Vic here with his team, and Vic and Black, so just taking it really slow. You don't want to push in too much and make mistakes here. They do already have 1 elimination. They don't necessarily need to go for the second push. Not really sure if I agree with it. You do have the upper hand, but you know, taking it slow is what we expected at this point.
Jamside and 7 SSK, 7 pushing towards Zeke and Poverty, didn't get the rift. It was Zeke that goes through, and that's a lot of damage that's been done in the air, trying to track him down, trying to get any last shot that they can to pick up a down to start this. But oh, look at how low Zeke is. Poverty just gets taken out from 135 meters to get downed.
And we see Zeke doesn't really have a lot of health here, so not quite sure if they will make it way out of this one.
Yeah, this would be a very tricky one because Zeke has to track back and find Poverty. So looks like the Russian and Belarus duo are going to pick up their first elimination of this game.
And that's right. And as they do so, looks like Paradise is theirs for the taking now. There's no one else in there, which is somewhat of a surprise, being such of a hotspot.
Right, and maybe talk to us a little bit about why that could be, because I know some of the mobility, like the rifts, were changed on this southeast side of the map.
We saw probably to go there for a finish, but yeah, we could get back to that in a second. We do have Tux here jumping into a little fight.
Yeah, Provoked is here alongside him, and they're trying to get onto that first floor. Looks like Jules and M11Z, or Mies here, to try and take this fight.
We do see a secondary team up on the mountain right next to them, so that's something you have to bear in mind. If you do take this fight, you will have the risk of another team jumping in. So I'd expect these players to maybe go back a little bit, maybe not engage in a fight, but at the same time, as soon as you rotate away from there, the other team might just, shoot, fire at you from behind.
Aim Hero did just go down in the action feed, but here we're on with Provoke trying to get through that wall, does break it to start, but ends up with a little damage traded in response. You can hear the explosives are going off. Gonna try and disrupt as much of this building as possible. Dynamite has been charged. Tux is trying to run away, see where he can get to. Loses all of his cover at this point, and Jules is gonna try and just get a few shots with that silenced SMG.
Using those Dynamite to their advantage, opening up. Oh, that's a beautiful hit, actually.
Jules just took so much damage in response, and Provoke trying to come over the top. That's a third party, I think. The ones from the hill that you were talking about as Provoke gets shut down. And this is the dangerous situation with duos, is you can't just relentlessly be aggressive, but that is so much damage coming through as Provoke ends up dropping. Jules gets a wall up, but it's too late. Now trying to drop down to the low ground to settle himself, and Tux, did he just get sniped?
I believe so. That's the danger of having a team nearby.
That was Nate Hill, and Funk Bomb from the hill takes him out. His duo is already down. The duo is out.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, that's a risk, and they will be happy with that. Funk Bomb and Nate will just, we're happy with that elimination. We'll head out. But look at this tilted action already.
Yeah, Keolis, without his duo, will get dropped by Nick Merckx, and Nick Merckx and Aiden may very well have established themselves as the kings of Tilted in Game 1, because Aim Hero and Fax Fox fell already. I saw that in the action feed earlier on. So some important eliminations over in Tilted.
Yes, I did see a secondary, third team making their way into Tilted, so let's see how long they can actually hold that for. A little bit of a fight here going on the outside of Dusty Divot.
Yeah, this is Mota and Eric Triceps, who, Eric, it's his first real experience in a tournament setting. This is very early launch pad to start moving. Is that just to disengage from that fight completely and say, okay, we'll take a fight another day?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't necessarily need to use those mobility items to rotate, but sometimes you do need to use them to get away from a fight and live to see another day.
Nate Hill and Funk Bomb are in Fatal, but there's teams in the cornfields for now. Just hiding out, trying to just keep themselves safe.
That's a scary spot, right? You can't really see people moving around there, except for the little grass like bumping up. This is Violinen and Windwalker, as you said it. I mean, they're not alone here, though. It's getting pretty scary. We have the twins, Jesse and Jordan, making the win.
At all, and here we go. The first time on stream at an international tournament, we are going to see the X2 twins in duos here in Europe as live and in person. Now we get to see them go up against Funk Bomb and Nate as well. Over the top they go, and look at this. Funk Bomb gonna back himself away, make sure he's closer to Nate. This is one of these real dream duos that we want to see face off against each other, but it's gonna be slow and steady to start this one off. Look at the disengage from Nate and Funk Bomb. They are constantly trying to just put up as much in the way as they can, but a lot of it has just got dropped. Nate just took a lot of damage from this, and over the top, Jesse goes. Jordan is tracking a little bit further behind him, and they have to watch their own backs, because we know there were other teams around Fatal.
And you can just see their synergy already, taking different angles, having one of them push up while one stays behind on high ground, trying to suppress some fire while,
Jesse's gone over the top. He's dropping down towards Funk Bomb. If he can get through this wall, maybe he can get it, but he's got to be careful of where Nate Hill is. Jesse trying to build up, get that high ground, and the X2 twins have secured the advantageous position for themselves, but they have to convert it. Edit comes through, does not hit the shot, and Jordan takes a lot of damage in response. Now they desperately have to scramble to get that high ground and still watch their backs, because you can see top side of your screen, that other team is already building their way towards this fight.
And what may have started as an upper hand is now about about to turn around here. It's a little bit of a slow fight, which we've been talking about duos.
And Nick Merckx just took out Vivid and Poach. It just came through in the action feed. That is a massive set of pickups for Nick Merckx and Aiden, who I think a lot of people underestimated. We talk about them so much as having kind of that gimmick of the Kings of Tilted, but they, in game one, seem to be going off. The X2 Twins have slowed down. Nate and Funkbomb have settled themselves as well, and Storm Surge is kicking in, but I don't think it's going to affect any of the players here.
And this is what we've been talking about when we're into duos. These fights may take a little bit longer, a little bit more of a standoff, especially when so much is at stake. You don't really want to rush in and just go for those eliminations because you don't want to make it to end game. You don't want to make sure you actually last.
Funkbomb even finding enough time to just peek off to the north, see if you can pick somebody off as they run, but we saw yesterday how that can be punished. If somebody comes from behind, if you're not expecting it, if you don't hear them coming, then you can end up dropping quite easily. But I think this is going to be a war of attrition between Jordan, Jesse, Nate, Hill, and Funkbomb. It's going to be whoever makes the first wrong move is going to get punished heavily. But Funkbomb for now is just saying, okay, I'll just take pot shots.
Yeah, no real point in engaging here. They do know they have teams right next to each other, or right next to them. So engaging in a fight here is probably not the wisest move. You know, Nate as well, just chilling back a bit.
A duo with a lot of experience here on the Katowice stage. Hoopex and Skix making their way up towards this very same area. We are about to have a clash of titanic names around Fatal Fields. And, you know, they've been playing now, this is the second week of competition. Outcomes and Clingers, I think it was, at the side, down towards the bottom of this. And that's just to cover their own movement over to the side of this hill. Nate can't quite get the angle. He's built himself into a defensive position as it is. And back to that trade with the X2 Twins.
And I'm not quite sure if they know that there's another team up on that hill. It was a really risky rotation through, I mean, there's 3 teams right next to them. Using those clingers to ensure somewhat of a safe rotation, and that's what I like about using explosives, especially bottle rockets. May not really be that strong, but if you use them to your advantage when you rotate, you can distract them.
Nick Merckx and Aiden may be in a little bit of trouble because Tixi and Mushway are in this storm with them. They're fighting, but none of them have dropped for now. Mushway has to get himself out. Aiden has fallen. Jordan and Jesse have just gone down to Funkbomb. That is a massive pickup as both of the X2 Twins eliminated by Funkbomb and Nate Hill just outside Fatal.
And that can happen when you have a standoff going on for so long. You might not really watch your 6, and it's really, yeah,
Importantly, Aiden hasn't yet been eliminated. He was downed, and I think by the looks of it, he got himself inside the safe zone. But it's now on Nick Merckx to get around the corner and actually bring him back up. In fact, I think Nick Merckx just fell as we take a look at a lot of that loot scattering down. So out of this game already, and so many players have just been eliminated. A lot of it is due to the way that Storm Surge kicks in, and you have to keep dealing damage, or you'll take damage from the storm if you're under that threshold.
If you don't see a lot of action in the early game, you will see it around this time. The circle is getting closer. Players do have to rotate to the third circle. And yeah, as we can see here, a lot of players just stacking up on top of each other. Alpha very low here on the bridge.
Alpha low on the bridge, desperately gets himself away, but look at the names. It's 72 Hours, Chap, Demo, and Bizzle. Some of the best North America has to offer on this bridge. And Bizzle already has 1 elimination to his name. How much more can we get? Because we are not in the placement points yet. 25th is the first position that you can start getting points for placement. At this point, it's just that 5 points per elimination that is active in this game.
And this is somewhat of a, I wouldn't say sweet spot there, but this is the point where, as you said, you're almost by the placement points, so you do anything to stay alive at this point.
Yeah, you just settle in, try and get yourself into any corner which people can't eliminate you from. Tajowski taking damage from the side as Nero is alongside him. They are bunched together, trying to shoot out at Far, one of our Brazilian competitors. Now all from 2 sides. Tajowski and Nero are closing in. Far tries to drop out the back. Stink Bomb will cover him for now as Nero is taking damage from the hill. Zeke, I think, was the one that was just clipping out a third party from a third duo at this point as Nero is taking more damage from the side. Far was finished off by Tajowski. So Tajowski picks up his 2nd elimination and the crowd react. This is the performance we wanted to see out of Tajowski that we didn't last week, and he's showing up in game 1.
And as we can see, they're trying to recover here from the fight. They do have a lot of good stuff in their inventory. In duos, you know, you do have those extra 5 slots where you can kind of mix it up a bit. You can carry more stuff. You can carry more mobility. You can carry more utility. And as we saw, they did have a rift. They did have a lot of shields. And all they have to do now is recover and start making it forward.
Yep, at this point, they pretty healthy for Tajovsky and Nero. Motor is sat just there. He's like, I really hope they don't push me in the same way that they just got that elimination. It's so difficult 1 versus 2, right, man? Like when you're in a 1-by-1 and you have a duo either side of your walls, it's near impossible.
At that point, you just hold your thumbs, stay as quiet as possible, and hope for the bad men to go away.
They won't go away in this setting unless there's like the storm pushing them already. At that point, they'll just stand and take that elimination, right? It's so tough to end up losing a situation 2 versus 1, but we have seen it in the Polish duos. We actually saw a final showdown, 2 versus 1, and it was 1 from the low ground. And we'll see whether anything as crazy as that happens in this game. But that's one of the reasons why we're seeing the minigun picked up by a lot more players than we were anticipating last week. The ability to just chew through a lot of building, disrupt a lot of what people are doing when you're in a safe position is something that the players talked about a lot.
We will see Jay and Zero here probably recycling the existing rift used. Yep. Get in there before it disappears, get that free rotation, and see Lolito landing here on the middle of the bridge. Not sure if he is alone. He is not. His friend Isma is here.
I'm pretty sure Lolito is never alone with the amount of followers and viewers Lolito typically has. I guarantee there are always people checking in on him, and we can check in on Aspect and Animal that were in the screen, but we're jumping over to Tajovsky and Nero, who rift as well. Mota is trying to get his way up, but he can't get the rift. He can't take the taxi out, as Milan and Smeef are under a lot of pressure from Jam side on the side. There's so many people firing at them, as Violinen is going to just peek through the roof and just say, okay, for now I think we're fine.
We eventually did see Smeef go down there, so better luck next time. And just look at this. We're at the bridge. We have a campfire, a little smoke going off there, a bunch of people stacked up on each other. And this is a very scary place for a zone to start moving. You have the river. If it goes back and forth, it's gonna cause a lot of chaos.
Yeah, and there are some big names here. As you said, Animal and Aspect right in the middle. You got Scram over on the right-hand side of your screen. He picked up a victory royale yesterday in the solos and seems to be okay. Full health and shields right now. There's so many people around him. I think it's Jules and Mies just behind where the map is on your screen. They're over on the right side of it, and there's just everybody here.
That's right. We can see the circle now making it to the 4th one, all the way up north. This is a lot of rotation.
This is a very dangerous valley to go through as well, right? There's that river area, and either side, big hills, as Zate is going to try and get Jam side and 7S SK7.
If you're one of the teams now on the southern side of this zone and you do not have a lot of storm surge
yeah,
up there.
a lot.
If you do not have a lot of mobility, any mobility, if you're on the south side of the zone here, you're in a lot of trouble right now.
Oh, Black's actually dying to Storm Surge there. Gets eliminated because he couldn't get into a position to deal damage. 72 Hours just picked up Alpha, and Nate Hill just got downed by Fwexy from 70 meters. We'll see whether they can pick him up as Cloud ends up falling to Seth.
Looks like his teammate Myth is still in it though. That was a knock into an elimination.
Constant Storm Surge damage here on the teams. 25 damage it's hitting for. So you can't really sit around. You can't really just take that damage. Myth's still in this game as Majin, a second place from yesterday, is going to glider his way onto the side of the river. Tajovsky moves, Mies moves, Jules moves as well over the top. And look at where 7S, K7 and Jam side are. They have that high ground. They have the bird's eye view nearly on everything. It's 72 Hours and Chap in the opposite position, right down on the floor, trying to get their way to the zone.
This is just a perfect position to be in now. You have high...
Isma trying to drop right onto the Russian duo up at the top as we got forward Norwood. There's 4 eliminations to himself. Ares has 1 as well. So this is 25 points in the bag already, and 28 teams remain. 28 duos means we are only 3 elimination sets away from those placement points. So you don't want to drop now, otherwise you don't get any points for surviving.
We just see the circle making it all the way back here to the southern side. And there's a lot of existing buildings there, so that might work in the advantage. or in the disadvantage of other players.
7 SSK7's running the medic build right now. Campfire, mini potions, big potions, slip, juice, everything. He's like, I've got it. Only thing I need is like bandages or a first aid kit.
Just a perfect loadout for the end game. Circle starts to move here, going into the 6th one. I love that sound, by the way.
Skyd is trying to just angle his way through anything he can. 4 clingers in the inventory that we just saw, and they're going to become prevalent as here goes the movement. All the way with that storm. This build path is going to flow like a river, up the river and back down, because it is following its own track. A lot of eliminations just came through as Animal and Aspect trying to track it forward. Underneath them, Ghost, Bizzle, and Demo are making their way in. Myth's still alive. We're keeping an eye on that name because he's under so much pressure from people. That's why I'm tracking him so much. He had clingers, he had people shooting at him. 7 SSK7!
That was full damage.
They had such a good position at the top of the mountain and ends up getting eliminated early. 21 teams remain. We are into the points as Animal's going to get forced to move from that stink grenade. Not too far for now.
Now the circle's making its way up again. It's going up, it's going down, it's going up. This is just very dangerous right now for players. There's a lot of builds going on, and
Vinny just got himself an elimination. I saw it in the action feed here as well as Demo's tracking. He's one of the first ones on the move. And Chap, Zextro, at the bottom, on the floor of this move, and Zayt, look at this position for Saf and Zayt. That is what you want to see right now. If they have the materials to keep going, they have 55 builds on Zayt for now.
And I love this building. They maintain their high ground while using their lower ground to their advantage, where another team is building right below them. So they do have that safe layer and can maintain the really, really high ground here.
And now we're on with 72 hours. One of the duos that just has so much expectation on them, and they're into the end game. As Chap no longer in this game. Chap taken down by Tajovsky as the crowd roars once again.
Just a lot of buildings here. This is going to be really difficult for players to make it through. Zayt and Sapphire still on the high ground. Right below them we have Momentos. Looks to be alone. No Vexy is with him.
Saf and Zayt, they do have the builds. They have ammo available. Aspect picks one. 72 hours has got camo. Just saw that in the action feed as BloodX very low on the bottom. 2 eliminations for Saf and Zayt as they're trying to just keep as much of this position as they can. Tajovsky just got 72 hours. Talk about showing up in his hometown here. Tajovsky on Polish soil doing very well in game 1. Aspect with 2 eliminations to his name. Mitro's still in this game as he took down Svenos.
Svenos dropping down there, as I said. I don't think Tajovsky can make it out of this one though. He is always dropping very low. He did eventually go out. Demo taking out.
We're down to 5. 3 duos remain, and Aspect and Animal must be in such a good position. Demo down on the low ground. It's Zayt and Saf up on the top. This is an all-American brawl at this point as Aspect takes out Demo. Animal still looking for more. Saf picks up the knockdown on Animal at the bottom. It's 4 players remain. Is this a 2 versus 2 as Demo had fallen? Animal knocked in the storm. Aspect getting pressured from the top of Zayt, trying to drop down on him as Saf is there as well. Saf trying to find that angle, looks for the shot, doesn't quite get it, but it's enough to finish them off with a victory royale for Saf and Zayt.